And what are the things I can able to include? That is nothing but the functions and variables. So functions are nothing but the methods. And what about data? Data is nothing but the variables. Now what is the name of the object? Obj. And what is this fruits? It's a constructor. If I want to access any data member of the class, what I want to create the object. Hello to all, a warm welcome to my new unit, and the unit name here is Classes and Object. I'm your Revati ma'am, faculty from the Department of Computer Science, Vidhyaashram, first grade college, the Temple of Excellence, MYSURU. So dear student, in my today's session, I'm going to deal with the following topics, that is Python classes and how we can able to create objects. Along with that, how we can able to access the attributes by using objects. Along with that, some of the example program. And along with that, I'm going to deal with Python methods. Anyway, dear student, if I consider Python is example for object-oriented programming language, and it is versatile programming language. So dear student, when I consider object-oriented programming language, what are the things I want to consider? That is class and object, along with that data abstraction, data encapsulation, multi-threading, inheritance and polymorphism. When I have all these characters together, then that programming language is known as object-oriented programming language. And why we use object-oriented programming language? Because when I want to represent real-world problems, in that situation, I'm going to use object-oriented programming language. So, as I told you that if it is object-oriented programming language, what are the two important concepts I have to remember? That is class and object. So, what is class? Class is nothing but a blueprint, or it is just a template. Okay, for example, if I consider this recording room, I'm going to consider this recording room as class. Then what about object? The properties of the class. For example, if I consider mic, if I consider camera, if I consider light, or if I consider board, these are the properties of class. So what is class? Class is just a blueprint or a template used to represent real world problem. And what about object? See here, an object is simply a collection of data and variable and methods, that is nothing but the function. Whereas class is a blueprint for that object. So if I consider room, okay, room is nothing but the class. The furniture, TV, okay, all those things are the object of that room. Another example, see here, if I consider car, okay, so car is nothing but my class. And the different kinds of car is nothing but the object. So here we use object-oriented programming language to represent the real-world problems. So a class is considered as a blueprint, or it is a template of object. For example, see, class is a skeleton or prototype, or class is nothing but a sketch. Okay, fine. Next, sketch of house. So, if I consider room, room is my class. Okay, fine. It contains all the details about the floors, how many floors, how many doors, windows, etc. Based on this description, we build the house. So, house is the object. A class is a user-defined blueprint or prototype. From class, we can able to create a object. So what is class? Class is a user-defined blueprint. Think that I am the user, and if I create the class, and that is known as user-defined class. For that class, if I create the object, okay, classes provides a means of bundling data and functions together. In my class, what are the things I can able to include? That is nothing but the functions and variables. So functions are nothing but the methods. And what about data? Data is nothing but the variables. So creating a new class creates a new type of object. For example, I told you to create class, I'm going to use the keyword class, and if I write class name car. So here car is nothing but the user defined class. Then if I write the type of the car, this is nothing but the property of the class. And if I want to access this property, I want to create the object. With the help of object, I can able to access the members and functions of the class. So class is a blueprint or a template or a sketch. So class instance can also have methods that is defined by their classes and for modifying their states. So dear student, what is class? Class is nothing but a blueprint, or it is a prototype, or it is a sketch. Okay, fine. See, let me to explain the general syntax. See here, if I consider Java, okay, how I'm going to write? Class A, B, C. Then, okay, inside this, I'm going to have the methods as well as variables. So, variables are nothing but the data fields. Okay, fine. See here, here also I'm going to start with the keyword class. Then, I'm going to specify the class name. What kind of class name? It is user-defined class name. And don't forget to place colon. So it is very important to place the colon. And I'm going to have this set of statement. And if I consider Python, we don't have much syntax. So we don't have blocks, but we have indentation. See here, if I consider Java, I have blocks that is represented by curly brace. Okay, fine. Now let me to consider the example here. See, class is a keyword. Fruits are nothing but the name of the class. And even I can able to specify the name of the fruits. For example, apple, banana, grapes, orange, etc. And if I want to write number of fruits, that is number of apple, number of banana, number of grapes. Okay, for that I'm going to take the variable num. Okay, fine. Now, see here, an object is called an instance. So, instance of the class. In the sense, class includes the methods as well as data members. And if I want to access the data members and methods, then I want to create the object. With the help of object, I can able to access the methods and data members. So here, objects are nothing but the instance of a class. For example, see, fruits is a class name and we have to create the object. For example, if I create obj1 and obj2 are the object. See, let me to discuss the syntax here. First, I want to write the object name. So object name in the sense what? User defined object name equal to, I want to consider the class name. So I want to consider the class name along with that opening and closing parenthesis. Okay, fine. See, this is the example for creating class. Just think that I have created a class called fruits. Now, see here. Here, I'm creating the object. For example, if I consider Java, for example, my class is ABC. Okay. Okay, fine. For this class, I want to create the object. For example, I'll write ABC, OBJ is nothing but my object name equal to new ABC. Okay, fine. ABC. So here, ABC is nothing but the class name. OBJ equal to, I'm using new operator. Okay. While creating object in Java, I'm using new keyword. But here, see, I'm not using any new keyword. I'm just considering the object name. Along with that, I'm going to specify the class name. So here it is not class, it's a constructor. But here it is class name, but here it is constructor. Okay, fine. Now, let me to discuss how can we access the class attributes using object. See, we have the class attributes. For example, name. Okay, number. So here, see, with the help of object and with the help of dot operator, I can able to access the data member or data field. So what is my data field? Name, and I'm going to specify the value apple. Now it is of type string because apple, it's a string. Okay, fine. Now if I want to access number, for example, think that I have 6 apples. So obj.num equal to 6. So the class creates a user-defined data structure which holds own data members and member function. So data members are nothing but the variables. Then what about member function? That is nothing but the methods or function, and it's going to have its own state as well as behavior. So which can be accessed and used by creating an instance of the class. So here, which are the data members? Name and number that belongs to the class fruits. Okay, fine. Suppose if I want to access name and number, what I required? I want to create the object. With the help of object, I'm going to access name and number. Okay, fine. See, this is the simple example. See, I created the class called fruits. Okay, fine. And see, name and number. Okay, fine. Now here I created the object. Now, what is the name of the object? OBJ. And what is this fruits? It's a constructor. Okay, fine. See, accessing attributes and assigning new values. I'm accessing number with the help of object and I'm going to assign the value 11. Okay, fine. Now I'm accessing name with the help of dot operator along with the object and what is the value I'm assigning? Apple. Now, if I want to print, see here, I'm using print statement. Okay, fruit name. See how to display obj dot name and number, then it is obj dot number. Okay, fine. Some of the important points you have to remember here, that is class can be created by using class keyword. So if I want to create the class, what I required, I want to include the class keyword. Attributes are the variables that belongs to the class. So class includes data members. So what is data members? Data members are nothing but the attributes. Attributes are always either public, okay, that can be accessed using dot operator. So always my attributes are public. So dear student, here my class dot my attributes is an example. Okay, fine. Now let me to discuss this concept in detail, that is, object is an instance of a class. Class is like a blueprint. So we know what is class. Class is a blueprint or it is a template. Then what about object? Object is nothing but the instance of the class. Okay, fine. Now see, an object. If I consider object, object includes state, behavior and identity. Okay, fine. If I consider camera, okay, it must have its own identity. It's going to have its own behavior and its own state. If I consider this board, it's going to have its own state, its own behavior and its own identity. So if I consider state, it is represented by the attributes of an object, and it's also reflect the property of an object. So when I remember what is an object, object is going to have the state, behavior and its own identity. And if I consider behavior, it is represented by the method of an object. Method of an object. So what kind of method I'm going to use? Okay. It also reflects the response of an object to other object. And what about identity? It gives a unique name. So if I create OBJ, so what's the meaning? I'm going to create unique name. If I create A, it's also object. So I'm going to specify the unique name. So object must have state, behavior and identity. Okay, fine. See here how I can able to create attribute. Attributes are nothing but the data members or variables. See here, dear student, I am creating a class called employee. So what is my class name here? That is employee. To create this class, I am using the keyword class. Okay, fine. In my class, I am going to have the attributes, that is employee ID and employee name. Okay, fine. Initially, I'm assigning 0 to employee ID and employee name is nothing but this string. So here it is integer data type and here it is string data type. Okay, now let me to discuss how I can able to create an object for this class. So what is my class name? That is employee, and what is my object name? Employee1. And for same class, I can able to create multiple objects. So here employee2 is my another object. And what about this one? It's a constructor. It's a constructor. Okay, fine. Now let me to discuss how I can able to access attributes. See here, if I want to access any data member of the class, what I want to create the object. So first I want to create an object with the help of dot operator. I can able to access the data members or attributes. So here employee1 is nothing but my object name. So employee1 is what? It's my object name. Then what about employee ID? Employee ID is nothing but the attributes, or it's nothing but the data member or field. and I'm going to assign the value 1001. Okay, fine. And employee 1 object, employee name, and I'm assigning the name, that is Revati BD. So I'm assigning my name. Okay, fine. And if I want to display the value, see employee ID, and I'm going to use the dot operator along with the object, and this is my attribute. And I want to display the name. So once again it is object, dot operator and attribute. Okay, fine. Now see here, I'm creating, that is I'm accessing the attribute using employee. What is my ID here? That is 1002. Okay, and I'm going to assign the name Harshita CT. Okay, so what is this? It is my ID and it is my employee name. Now see here, I am printing second employee detail. Okay, so what is my output? See here, employee ID. What's the ID? 1001. And what is the name of the employee? That is Revati BD. And if I consider second record, that is 1002. And what is the name of the employee? Harshita CT. Okay, fine. Now let me to discuss how we can able to create the methods. So what is method? See here, methods are nothing but the group of statement. So it is just a function. Okay, so what is function? Functions are nothing but the group of statement used to perform specific kind of task. For example, if I want to add, or if I want to find the summation of two numbers, and for that if I write certain statement, then it is known as method. Okay, fine. So if I consider method, I can have built-in method and I can have the user-defined method. So what is built-in method? All the methods are already defined and that is stored in the header files. Okay, fine. Then what about the user-defined method? Based on user requirement, if user is going to create the method, then it is known as user-defined method. See here. So what is room? Room is nothing but the class name. Okay, fine. In room, I'm going to have two attributes, that is length and breadth. Okay, fine. Now, I want to write the method to calculate the area. See here, to create method in Python, I'm going to use the keyword def. Then what is my method name? Calculate area. What's my method name? Calculate area. Okay, see, what is this? Self. It's a object. Okay, so if I consider methods, method can have the return type as well as parameters. Okay, see, I am referring length and breadth. So here self dot length into self dot breadth. Okay, so I am referring length and breadth. So I just to find the area of a room, what I want to do? I want to multiply length and breadth. So here I am multiplying length and breadth. At the same time, I am displaying the output. So this is the way I can able to create the method in Python. Okay, fine. Now, if I want to create the object, okay, for example, I am creating the object named study room, and what is my class name? Room. Okay, fine. Now see here, I am assigning the length. What is the length of the room? That is 40. And what is the breadth of the room? That is 60. So if I want to access the class, okay, if I want to access the method which is inside the class, I'm using Okay, what's my object name? Study room. And what is the method name? That is calculate area. Okay, so it's going to calculate the area 16 to 40, and whatever the output I'm going to get, that is area of room. That is the dimension of that room. So it is 2400. Okay, this is the way I can able to create methods in Python. Anyway, dear student, in my today's session, I started with what is class and what is object. How we can able to create object as well as class. Okay, along with that, how we can able to access the attributes of class along with some example. Along with that, we also covered how to create methods in Python and how we can able to access the methods. Anyway, dear student, in my next session, I'm going to discuss constructor. Anyway, until that, keep watching and keep learning. Thank you.